Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 26th year. I'm Harvey Freed. To the right of me, Becky Alley.
What is going on? Good morning, everybody. I feel like I haven't been in the studio. Well, actually, I haven't been in the studio for 2 weeks, and I've missed it. It's good energy in here today.
It's really fun. You got some great guests in here. I'll let you go ahead and introduce everybody.
Yes, okay. I got my queens in here. We got Victoria Safran, right?
Yeah, Safran.
I had to make sure I always mess up her name, and I try not to, obviously,
it's
today.
okay.
And then Erica Wood, Remax Eclipse. No stranger to the studio, obviously, and anytime I can get these two in the room with us, it is a win for our listeners and our viewers on Facebook because they bring nothing but positive energy, the highest customer service, and they're really out here in the streets making sure that their clients are winning in a competitive market right now. It's still very competitive, but it's a little bit of everything, I think, out here right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to take your calls all morning long. Always talking about rates, the financial markets, inflation. There's a war going on. Yeah, that's sort of killing our vibe a little bit. We'll talk about that. Federal Reserve has a new chairman coming in a month or so. But Becky, let's go there. It's not always the best subject to talk about. When rates are trickling up, burping up or whatever you want to say it.
Every time you say burping up, I think of like just not good
right
things.
Word.
Yes.
Yeah, climbing the ladder. But again, I did some math, and it's about $40 more per 100,000. If you're borrowing now and probably like going to lock in, or if you're going to make an offer this week and lock in, it might cost you about $40 more per 100,000 you're borrowing. So on a $300,000 loan, it's approximately about $120 more on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Just some numbers out there.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't focus on the interest rates because the story has been over the last 2 years, in my opinion, you're locking in the price point of the home, not the interest rate.
Right.
Because the interest rate is arbitrary because it is going to change between who's the Fed chairman, what the market's doing, what's going on in the world. And if we can identify a price point that you can afford, then when the rates do eventually trickle down, it's a no-brainer to refinance and put yourself in a lateral position. So the topic isn't about the interest rates. It's about what's going up this price point because we are in an appreciating market and we're going to continue to be in an appreciating market, especially in Michigan. And I want you guys to chime in on this because there is still a lack of inventory. It's a seller's market, but it's kind of buyer-like right now. We're in this little bit of a weird funk, but it's buyers are winning, but there's a lack of inventory that points to the seller's market.
Oh, yeah. No, So it's all on price, location, condition. So I went to an open house last week. It was in Rochester, and I got there 5 minutes early. And I'm not kidding you, there were 15 cars pulling up on the driveway. And I put it on TikTok, and people are like, "This is a graduation party." I was like, "No, it's not. This is an open house."
No, it's probably priced where it should be, and in
Yeah.
a market where you have a lack of inventory, you're going to get an influx of buyers. Mm-hmm. You have educated buyers. The last couple of years, buyers have been watching home values, watching what they want, being picky because they're like, if I'm going to have a higher interest rate and I'm leaving my 2.5-3% that I locked in years ago, I want to make sure I get what I want, you know, in my next house. So it's still a lack of good homes that fit a lot of buyers' potential.
I like how that rolled off your tongue. Price, location, and the condition. Yeah, just easily. And that's what it is out there. It's still those tough listing appointments you guys go on when you walk in the house. And we were talking about some different things as before the show started. Smokers.
Yeah.
There's still smokers out there. They sell cigarettes. I don't know. They're like $100 a
They
pack.
sell cigarettes, everybody.
Yeah, they sell those
And they're
things out
not
there.
electronic.
Some things just really stink, and that just happens to be one of them that really messes up a house. And again, I grew up in the 70s and 80s where it was sort of everyone smoked. They did it on
socially
airplanes. Yeah,
acceptable,
socially
yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Now it just wrecks your house. Folks, you got to get in the garage or quit for your lungs'
It
sake.
affects your home's value.
Or go outside.
That's still a tough conversation, Erica.
Yeah, no, it is. But what helps is being able to give feedback and just being able to share that with other people. And you just, have to put it in a polite way because,
Be
it
honest.
could be, anything. It could be your cooking. It could be anything that you do in the house. And odors are a big thing when people walk into a house and whether it's temperature, just the way they feel when they walk through of comfortability, those are
Moisture.
things that they notice.
I would say, we're in a year of I thought there's a lot of woo-woo out there, right? Where it's people are catching vibes and energy too. And like you said, if even the lightest smell, my dad is so sensitive to garlic. And so my sister, when she cooks, she's I don't know, she's a normal cooker, but anyway, she's got to air out the house before my dad can even come in because he's so sensitive to smells.
It's
and
very nice of her to do that.
Yeah, she does do that. But but to that point, when you are selling your home, you have to kind of shed that ego a little bit because you are trying to open it up to let other people visualize being in that space and living in that space and entertaining in that space. And you can be like, well, I just spent $500 on these window treatments. Okay, cool. But that's not going to be to the taste of what potential buyers are. You have to be neutral. So there is a lot of ego talk when I would imagine when you're dealing with sellers, and having those like difficult conversations, but making it in a non-threatening way is, something that you guys have to navigate daily.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of the times, like, ultimately it's up to them. Like, we're there to help guide them. We can't tell them what to do or how to do, but we can guide them in the best way possible. And, being able to have feedback or share feedback from previous situations we've been in helps a lot too.
So when you guys are selling, okay, so let's just say we're talking about feedback. How do you guys feel like when you're having open house, let's just say this is for the people that are selling the house, right? Sellers out there. You guys want that feedback.
Of course.
So like, is it frustrating sometimes when agents don't give you the feedback? Like, do you like stalk them for it sometimes?
It just depends on the situation. I typically don't want to like ask right away because I don't want to create any sort of urgency from my end or from the seller's end to make them feel like we're not getting what we want. And I feel like the quicker you are to try to get that feedback, I know the sellers usually want to know, but a lot of the times you have to be a little patient, because if you're not, then you're just like basically telling them, hey, we don't have anything. We'd like to hear what you think.
Right.
And you got to be strategic about it.
You almost give up your side of your negotiations. You never want to accept an offer right away. They say usually wait at least 24 hours, because the last thing you want to do is feel like the buyer has the ball in their court in the beginning of negotiations.
Ooh, okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the topics we wanted to talk about is, are you hurting your seller by calling highest and best? So I want to kind of hear that from you, because if you have a weekend and, we're getting that spring market, so people are going to traipse through these homes, especially the desirable ones. And then all of a sudden you're like highest and best. What is your guys' take on that?
I just ran into this last weekend. So I showed my buyers, it was a home in Livonia. We went in, we went over, we gave them some great terms. And there was only one other offer in the seller. It was Sunday. And they're like, well, we want to wait 24 or 48 more hours to see what other people say.
Ooh, they straight up said that.
Yeah. Okay. So my buyers walked away. They pulled their offer.
That happens.
And they had time to think about it overnight. And they're like, you know what? Actually, no. Like it just rubs them the wrong way. It gives them more time to think like, do we even really want this house? And then the other offer they had pulled too. So now that house is still sitting on the market. And now they just lost. I mean, we were $15,000 over asking, and now they're not even going to get their asking price.
Right, so they can't move on with their lives. And again, it just started. The home buying season just kicked in. All right, we're going to take your calls all morning long. We're going to continue this whole conversation here. We want to get Eddie up here. 248-539-9797. Eddie, you're calling in with a quick question about trying to sell a commercial lot. Go ahead and tell us about it.
All right, young man. All right, no, it's a back lot behind my business.
Oh.
It's just all going, okay, it's just a vacant lot. It's been there, and I know certain things, and I put for sale by owner, and I know very little to nothing about such a factor. But I knew square footage, and you're going between this price to that price and this by that. And I'm going, Lord, going, 45,000 is what I value that, which is probably over high. So what will be the best advice, whom to speak with, and how to move forward?
Okay. You guys want to dive in on that one?
Appreciate you calling in, Eddie. So it sounds like you have a commercial vacant lot behind your current business?
Yes. My business is South Warren. And, we own the back lot. And, there's those that want to buy. They're asking me these questions. Okay, I know it's kind of square footage. I pay the tax on it. And I measure out personally, but I don't know what you know.
Well, yeah, and that's where we would definitely look around your area and see what's sold comparable, and obviously what your zone too. If there's any access that you have to share a parking lot, or is there a way somebody can build it themselves and have access?
No, you're fine there, because the local people they own on the other side of the street, and they want from their zone to that zone.
Oh, okay. So you sounds like you already have an interested party.
Advantage me. All right.
Yeah.
And hey, Eddie, it's a separate parcel. You're ready to get it on the market. I know you left your number with us. Just let me ask you something. Did you get any offers on it yet? Has anyone approached you?
Oh, well, I've gotten phone calls there. I put my cell phone and the business number there, and I said 45,000. Man, I'm probably overpriced, but hey, you tell me what you want to offer.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a way to do it.
Like, where's your
South Warren? What are the locate? What are you? What are your crossroads?
Oh, I'm on Gross back there, just north of 8 Mile.
Okay, well, if we have your contact information, I'd love to chat more with you after the show to see if I might be able to give you a more realistic price range. Just kind of look at the comps and see if I might be able to help with that. Because if you're not sure what to sell it for, you don't want someone coming in and say, "Hey, I'll give you a 10 grand," when it could be worth 25 or 30. And they, if you're not sure of the price, they're going to dictate it for you, and it's your property right next to your business. So.
I think you're talking my language now.
Yes, sir.
Well,
That's what we're here for.
All right, Eddie, thanks for the call. We'll definitely give Eddie a call after the show and see what he's got cooking over there. Again, it could be a vacant lot for somebody that might want to just put storage there.
You never know what it's
keep
zoned
cars and
and
boats and campers, something like that.
Might be a good area for another business. Yeah,
you never know.
Okay, so like I mean, even to take it on the, because commercial, it's its own animal.
Yeah.
Right. It is a different thing. And, we do have a commercial division on, where we're at. But, like you can be in a commercial transaction for 2 years and it fall apart at the end over the
or go to court. I had one go past it and go to court for 6 months.
Yeah. So commercial real estate is its own living, breathing creature on its own planet. And you have to be very versed in that because, that proper guidance. So someone just slapping up a for sale by owner, he can be taken advantage of. So I'm happy that he called in. But on the flip side of that, what do you say about the, are you guys running into a lot of real estate that are sellers are like, I'm going to sell it to myself? I want you guys to kind of talk on how you leave that same kind of money on the table when someone has it in their mind that they're going to do a for sale by owner and then they just slap it somewhere and hope and pray for the best, right? So how do you guys kind of navigate that to, really just the added value that you guys truly bring to the table?
Absolutely. Well, that comes into a couple different things. And with listing for sale by owner, I try to help them, or I'll try to sit down and have a conversation to go through the process, what it looks like. And then usually when you're going in through all right, the calls you're going to get, the open house, handling everything, handling all the paperwork, making sure that you're able to expose your house to every buyer out there, because you don't want to just open your house up to one person if you're trying to take advantage of the market and get as much as you possibly can for the
exposure.
House. Right now, opening your house up to just a select few amount of people is just a big disservice to you if you're in there trying to get as much as possible. But everyone's situation is different. So if you have an emotional seller and they don't want to go to the market and they don't want to deal with coordinating showings and having 100 people walk through their house, then it makes sense. But everyone's situation is different, and our goal is just to help people in whatever way they feel works for them. And usually a lot of the times when I end up going through the spiel of everything that you have to do, then they're like, you know what? Maybe it does make sense for me to list with someone.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you're just navigating the traffic. Right.
All right, we're up against our first break here. Keep it on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the hardcore mortgage real estate business. We got tons to share with you. Cash offer versus getting a mortgage, all sorts of stuff. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. And, of course, powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820 Equal Housing Lender. And we got some great guys here in the office, of course. Special guest Erica Wood.
We have queens in the office.
They are here, Victoria
Queen in the
Safran.
studio.
Outnumbered,
Remax,
Harvey.
Eclipse, you guys are all over the place. I always love it that Erica lives about 200 yards from me. I never run into you. I have no idea how.
Yeah.
She
She's
goes
in the
to
street. She's
Meijer.
outside. That's
She's
why
at
I
the
don't run into her. She's
Costco.
really
Yeah,
outside.
This year we're on the lake together for sure, though. Always fun to talk real estate up till 9 o'clock this morning. Bad news last night is Michigan State took it on the chin. I didn't even know. I didn't stay up for that game. Michigan won.
Yay,
And
Michigan. They're
and
favored.
Tigers are rolling. I'm not going to get on the Kevin McGonigal train because I've already been on it. I'm on the airplane with that guy because he is kicking some butt. Hits an RBI to break up the tie last night. The Tigers are 2-0.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of sports coming
Opening
up.
day is like a national
like next
holiday in
week,
Detroit.
right?
Next Friday? That'll
Next
be a lot
Friday.
of fun.
Yeah, and the fact that it's on a Friday.
Are you guys
It's on
going to
Good
opening
Friday.
day?
We might. I might.
Probably will be skipping in the streets at some point in time,
Yeah.
yes.
Becky, I might have to
It's a
get
vibe,
with you.
for
I
sure.
might have to
Last
hitch
year
my
was
trailer
a
with
good
you.
time. Yeah, that was a good time.
All right, cool stuff here. Keep it on 97.1 all day long. After our mortgage show, it's going to be Stony with sports and a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, guys, in real estate, this is one thing I always like to bring up is this cash first. I don't know where everyone became a millionaire or their parents did, but I've
call it
never
for the
heard
birth
of
lottery
that
money.
many cash offers.
There's a lot of cash buyers.
There
We're
is.
talking
It's-
even in the 600, 700. I did one for 800 the other day, like less than a year ago. And
Maybe they're delayed financing transactions. Again, we don't know. A lot of
Potentially,
times people
right?
come back to us and say, hey, I just got that house 2
Right.
months ago. I paid cash. Now I'm going to do a delayed financing transaction. But, okay, so this rubbed me the wrong way. I got a client. He's a great guy. He's approved. It's been run through the AUS system. He's got the money to close. I verified everything. He makes an offer of $350 with a $2,500 escalation clause. He's willing to pay $352, $500 for the house. Loses it because the best offer that the sellers took was $335, at least $15,000 less on a cash offer. Guys, that's too much money to leave on the table. Like I feel it. Like if the offers are within $3,000 or $5,000 and you take a cash offer, because Victoria, you brought up all those reasons why.
Yeah.
Like-
well, and there's, appraisal. If you're worried about
Yeah.
appraisal, why would you take the cash over that? But it sounds like you had an appraisal guarantee, which then
Appraisal guarantee, pass,
if
fail
for
inspection.
worst case scenario, you're at 352.5 and it comes in at 340, if you've got an appraisal gap, you're still at that higher price point. And that 335 for cash, you're at that price. Typically there's no appraisal. I've had cash buyers still do an appraisal to make sure it's a good investment. And at that point, it's almost identical, terms wise, except for, the underwriting processing. But if you've done that and your buyer solid,
you can close a purchase transaction with the mortgage typically in 2 weeks. I mean, it's a rush and we got to hustle. But if you're already pre-approved with all your documents, Becky, we get that appraisal done, title work done. You can close within almost the same as cash.
Yeah, I mean, so for example, I have actually 2 transactions that we're running same as cash. So meaning that my buyer had enough money to pay cash, but they didn't want to pull it out of their portfolio because the market's down right now. So you take it at a loss, it's a loss. So they wanted to try to keep as much as their assets in their portfolio as possible. So we negotiated that if we can't close by this day, they're going to pay cash for the property. So that put me in a position to run a parallel to the transaction, and we got it done one got done in 10. It was 10. Both of them were done in 10 business days, right? So it's a lot of like unrealistic time frames that go into these like boiler room situations for no reason, to be honest with you. But we still got it done, and the sellers are happy. They got more money than the other cash offer, and my buyers were able to keep that money in their portfolio so that way they're not taking their money on a loss. So everything is situational, but that's where it matters who you work with, because not all lenders are the same. Not all offers are the same, right? So, if you have an inexperienced real estate agent, and there's inexperienced loan officers too, right? There's no shade anywhere, but like cash doesn't necessarily mean that it's winning.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, like you're saying, like you have to look at you have to pull it apart. You have to look at, you can't just get caught up with the wrapper, the shiny wrapper. You have to see what's going in it, because your buyer that's paying cash could very well, like you said, I still want an appraisal.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't come
Or
in,
they want an inspection.
yeah, they want an inspection, pass, fail. And let's just say it's a 335. We're going to go real numbers. Let's say it's a 335 cash offer. They do an appraisal and it comes in at 325. Well, now your sellers just lost Harvey's offer and they just lost that cash offer because they're going to be under that that mark.
Erica, that sort of ties into what you were saying. And between the break that you had buyers out there and an offer, Livonia's hot right now, by the way. There's multiple offers, nice homes. Great place to move, Livonia, Michigan, of course.
There's also, we're going to talk about some down payment assistance for Livonia, too.
Oh, good, because there's a lot of competition
We'll
for
finish
those
your
houses.
thought, so finish your thought.
And Erica, you said even that this family, you guys put in the offer. They were kicking it a little bit, saying, hey, we want to kick it down to Sunday night or Monday morning and see if anything else gets better. That gives your buyers more time to decide that there might be something else out there that works better.
Yeah, or there could just be another house that hits the market that they're more interested in. But a lot of the times when sellers do that, I've lost, even as a listing agent, there's a couple times where my sellers in the past were like, no, we want to pull for a multiple offer situation, give everyone an opportunity. I've lost some of my best offers by doing that. So every
say
situation,
that part again. Like, say that again, what you just said.
I've lost some of my best offers by trying to
see if something's
people
better.
wanting to, by trying to wait out and see what other offers you can get to give everyone a fair opportunity to see an offer, because the serious buyers out there, the ones that are willing to pay up and do the extra and go the extra mile in their offer and give you their liver with their offer, they're not playing around. And if you're not going to give them that opportunity, they will walk away, and it becomes very personal, even though you try to not make it personal.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Yeah.
So those buyers too, they call you right after they're showing. I'm calling, my clients love the house. We're going to write an offer. I'm calling the agent to see how many offers they have, what the seller's major motivation is. And obviously they work for him or her. So they're not going to tell you everything, but the more you build that rapport, the better you're going to structure yourself when you present that offer.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are true professionals, right? And, like that's where that collaboration over competition happens. Like you two might be going after the same listing, but at the end of the day, when it's opposite, like you're going to be like, all right, I know my girl Victoria is going to come through and she always is bringing strong buyers. Like your reputation in the streets when you guys are outside matters. And that's why also like the lending matters. So like when you guys are making these offers, I'm already calling the selling agent, because, that who's writing that piece of paper that is like really saying this is a true bona fide offer. That's the difference sometimes between that buyer also getting accepted and not getting accepted, because there's a lot of people running the streets with these pieces of paper that don't mean anything. And the reason why I know that is because sometimes I'm the third call in or the second call in. I'm not the first call, but I'm the one that's got to figure out how to get it done because someone didn't do their due diligence up front and figured something out. So, it's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes like, I forgot, I didn't think to call you first, Becky, but I'll be that last call. Harvey will be that last call because we're going to figure out a way to get that done. But like this reputation that you're able to call the seller or the listing agent and get that feedback, so that way you can strategically structure these buyers to be in a winning position.
It's better for you guys to call too, because I always put your information in, and as a listing agent, I get multiple offers. I'm calling every single lender. If I can't reach you, if I don't have your personal phone number, like it's one of those things where if I have to call 14 different phone numbers to get hold of this lender, is this how the whole deal is going to be?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I will call you 14 times. I need to talk to you before I present your offer. But what Erica was saying earlier about how her buyer, the seller, was like, I want to wait a couple more days for more offers. You only need one offer, one solid offer. Right. And when you've got a super qualified buyer that gives you that offer, you risk losing them. Right. Now, highest and best, it's up to the seller. We work for the seller, how they want to handle it. But a lot of agents don't realize that you work for the listing agent or you work for the seller. So if the seller authorizes you to disclose terms of the other offers, you can. If I have two offers that are very similar and my client says that I can tell them, I'm calling both of the agents and letting them know what we have. Statistically, almost every single time I've done this with my sellers, I've gotten them better terms and more money. And we're not being greedy. We're saying, hey, we have 2 or 3 people that like it. Here's the information. Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? I work for my client. And a lot of the times, better to know, hey, I lost that because I didn't want to do an appraisal gap, or hey, I lost that because I couldn't go up $5,000 more. Now I know why I lost that house. And now I can go into my next one saying, man, maybe I look at inspection clauses. Maybe I do something where I offer the seller to keep some of their personal belongings or trash so they don't have to worry about it, and makes their move simpler. That's a different term that might set you apart from another offer.
Yeah. So what we're talking about right now is, if you're in the market to purchase a house, obviously we want you to call in 248-539-9797. But what Victoria is touching on is the reasons why your agent might suggest you do something over something else. And it's not because they're trying to take your money. It's not because they are wanting you to pay more for a house than it's worth, but they have that inside information, that intel that's going to make that difference between this being your new home or this being another house that you had to pass up on. And that's what it's important that the people that you hired us to be the professionals and be the voice of reason. So you have to listen to what they're saying sometimes.
Alrighty, the spring buying season has started. The higher mortgage rates are eroding some affordability. We're going to talk about that. You didn't buy a house last month? That's right. Now it's the same price of the house and the rates are higher. We got to talk about affordability. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, giving you 26 years. We've been around longer than that, but just on the radio, giving some great information. I'm Harvey Freach. He's Becky Alley.
I am.
These guys are great over here, of course. Erica and Victoria join us from Remax Eclipse. Lots of great information to share. We were really going into that conversation. We'll come back to it. Let's go out to Madison Heights. Got Roger out there with a mortgage question. Hey, Raj, thanks for calling in. What do you got?
Well, there's a ladybird deed on my mom's house, so when she passes, it goes straight to me.
That's right.
So my question is, if she still owes money on her mortgage when she passes, how does that work?
You better make
pay
that.
off?
You'll make that payment. It'll go to you. Otherwise, it'll go to foreclosure. So really key that you're comfortable with it. Again, one of the other things too is that once that goes into you, that becomes part of your debt to income ratio. So the mortgage payment would count against you and things of that nature. Well.
How would I go about taking that mortgage over? Does it automatically go to me, or do I have to get in touch with the mortgage
you'd have to
company?
contact
Make
them.
the call.
Yeah, you'd have to call the servicer, give the death certificate, provide the ladybird deed, and then you probably go through like what's called an assumption process with them. It's a little different. You could also even refinance it, to be honest with you. Like, let's just say if the rate's a little bit higher, or if you wanted to pull cash out, because you'd have that option because you inherited the property, so you wouldn't have to have a waiting period. So once that happened, or when it happens, if it did happen, those are going to be your options. And we obviously could help you navigate those things, because it just depends on what the situation is.
Yeah, because my question is, my credit's not good enough to take over her mortgage, I don't think. So that's the issue.
Are you going to be comfortable enough to make the payment? I know you've had some past issues with credit, but are you going to hang on to it?
That's fine. Yeah.
Who lives there? Who lives in the house?
Just my mom and my other brother, but it's deeded to me and my brother. But he has his own company. He doesn't really want it.
Okay.
So I was just going to
So
take
it'd be
it
like
over,
a buyout. What, are you guys going to buy each other out kind of thing, or just you have a good relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would say too, if you know that your credit is less than perfect, I don't even think it would be bad for you to let someone look at it and tell you what you could do to fix it. Because I think in any scenario, when you can improve the credit situation, that's a lateral move for you, whether you want to use it or don't. But if you just don't know what to do to fix it, you don't know what you don't know. So I think it just takes someone looking at it and telling you, because sometimes it's like the most microscopic thing that is hurting someone's credit. Like, so for example, you could have a medical collection that's $25. If you get rid of that and get them to delete it, that could increase your score by 100 points, because I've seen it.
Yeah, weird things like that.
Yeah, it's just little micro things that have been sitting, that if you ignore them, they're going to continue to kind of plague you forever. But if you start addressing them, we can fix it.
Hey, Raj, Madison Heights is rocking. These real estate agents across from me, they're mouth watering here going, this is a listing. This is a listing for sure. Roger, would you consider getting the house? I mean, we want your mom to hang in there, of course, and enjoy life. And but possibly you might get rid of the house. Maybe that would be a good idea. What do you think?
Or would you be living there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, getting rid of it. Yeah, I mean, or if let's say it's worth $400, she only owes $80. Maybe get a new mortgage and pay that $80 off. And well, if I sell it, that $80 would just get paid off to the mortgage company.
Yeah, and then you and your brother split the proceeds.
So it'd be like $400 less the $80. That gives you what, $320, whatever. So that is an option. Or you could take that and buy yourself another house, depending on what your living situation is. If you're renting, I would, real estate is where it's at. Owning your own place, parking your car in your own driveway. That is the real play in life for sure.
Thanks for the call, Raj. Good stuff, man. Appreciate that. Anyone out there thinking of a question like that or something like that might be going on, this is the show you call. We sort of break it down for you.
Yeah.
Get some
Ladybird
more
deeds, like, people don't really understand. So title companies do not prepare Ladybird deeds. It has to be done through
an attorney,
estate planning, attorney. But it is smart to have, because that kind of it protects you. So that person, so technically he would be a first time buyer because he has ownership rights in the property. But but once it becomes in effect, it now it changes, and now he's not a first time buyer because he has ownership.
The title companies are getting away from a lot of that stuff, the legal ramifications.
Yeah, they don't want it.
Like hire your own attorney for it. Again, it has to do with trust, maybe getting a certificate of trust and keeping up with that. You could either contact your own attorney. The title companies will do it because they typically have attorneys in the office, but not all of them. Yeah. And then it costs some money, but you got to get your ducks in a row. Definitely making sure that your asset is protected. God forbid something happens to mom or dad.
Yeah, but that's smart though, because
the
point of it is so you don't go to probate, right? Mm-hmm. And the heirs of whatever you're leaving behind, they're not stuck waiting. I have it's weird actually. Now that we're talking about it, I have 2 transactions that are in probate, and one took 6 months for us to get through, and the issue was the selling side. They didn't do their due diligence. And so here we are, we had to clear to close. And then we keep on are you ready to close? Are you ready to close? And then it all comes out, oh, by the way, there's a probate sale and there's these things on title that like I couldn't see because we had clear title on our side, and then they kind of did some digging.
That's why you do pre-title
Yes.
on your listings before you list,
Yes.
especially in an estate or probate situation. You have 21 days in a probate situation where you just have to wait.
Yep.
And then anyone who has any issues can be like, oh, I have an issue during that time. And then that adds even more time. And if you need a certificate of trust, you can contact your attorney. It doesn't take long for them to do that. But
No.
do you have a copy of the trust? Do you have everything you need beforehand? Because you don't want to have a cash buyer or somebody that can close in 2 weeks and now everyone can get their money and, it's someone's inheritance. And now you're months down the road because now there's issues. Now there's someone claiming this when they don't have it, but they have an attorney. So now it's just a whole situation. So your
Yes.
due diligence really makes a difference.
Yeah. Plus, people like when someone is no longer with us, that's where you see people come out of the woodwork too.
It's
So
just
it's
a
important that
horrible
everyone is
grieving
protecting.
time,
Yes,
too,
it's
you
it's
lose a
important to
family member.
Correct, and then you have other outside parties coming in. So, the point of that is when you're selling your house. Again, what we get into when you're talking about for sale by owner, it's not just our real estate agents and the people that we put on, the high caliber real estate agents that come on our show. They're not just opening doors. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes that you don't even know about, because our job is to fix the problem before you even know it's a problem. And then we're going to educate you like, hey, these are the things that are happening, but this is how we're going to resolve it. And part of that, like you said, Victoria, is doing the title work in advance, giving them a net proceeds ahead of time. There's so many times that I've dealt with like a buy sell situation and have no idea what their proceeds are. And I'm doing a net. I'm just telling them verbally, like, this is what it is. So you have to, who you work with matters. And when you're hiring the professionals, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that you're coming up top dollar, top situation, and a smooth closing. And a lot of it it's in advance.
Before the break, I said that we just break down, like, if you didn't close on a house 2 months ago and now you're thinking of making an offer this week. So just roughly on $100,000. So if the rate went up 0.5%, it's about $32. If the rate went up 0.5%, if you were at 6%, now it's 6.5%, or 6 1/8 to 6 5/8, about $32 per 100,000. So on a $300,000 loan, Becky, I came up with $96 more that the home would cost you. That's about $15,000 in buying power. That's sort of interesting because you were just out looking at houses and you didn't want to go. You had a limit. I'm not spending more than $300. The first-time home buyer. Now that house would cost you about as if it was about a $315 or $320 house. So things can change really quickly, or we see it all the time. You're working with a buyer 2 months ago. That story's a little different today. You got to get sort of pre-approved.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a big thing too, is even when I'm writing offers for buyers, a lot of listing agents are still like, hey, this was 3 months ago. Do we have an updated approval? Just because times and everything's changing so much. But also, I mean, taxes, I can't bring that up enough. I feel like there's so many people that are getting priced out of their home financially. Even just as soon as you hear that tax conversation of how much more your taxes can go up.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing lately. And taxes are very expensive all across. And people have a stipulation of like Oakland County taxes are the highest. But I mean, I'm even pulling numbers and taxes in Macomb, which is borderline to Oakland County. And they're very similar. So that's been my biggest thing right now, is just educating people, because the last thing you want to do is put someone in a home that they can't afford or that they're going to have issues with down the road.
And they don't even know.
No.
Like, you see the taxes that the current homeowner is paying. But
Yes.
say they bought 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That millage rate can only be capped so much yearly, or if they haven't refinanced. Like my parents have so much less taxes, 16 houses down. But I know I've refinanced more than they have, just because my husband's a veteran, and we work with a lot of veteran owners. So we have a VA loan. And so I've done a interest rate reduction.
Yep.
I'm one of those ones where I don't want to ever move my rate.
Yeah.
But we had to have our taxes reassessed.
Yeah.
And unless you talk about it, and she says, she brings it up often, and it's their due diligence. And I always call the municipalities, because some of the websites have been off in the past by a couple grand. So I'm like, okay, now we're just going straight to the source saying, hey, we're buying at this price.
Yeah.
Here's the address. What are the projected taxes in a year? Because there usually takes about a year to get reassessed, right? Sometimes quicker.
Yep.
But that can change your affordability. If your taxes go up $4,000, that's hundreds of dollars more a month that you weren't expecting. And guess what? It's a tax bill.
Yeah.
It's not something you can be like, well, I don't want to pay that. No, you have to.
Yeah.
So that's when you guys get called, like, what can I do now? It's been a year. Can I change my loan? Can I wrap something in to where I'm now, I'm not able to pay $500 more a month because I didn't know.
Yeah, I have a client right now. We did I actually did his transaction a year and a half ago. We talked about the taxes, right? These are going to be going up. We knew we could afford it. I was like, this is what you're looking at. So then his payment really got assessed. And when you talk about it versus when it really happens, it's different. And I'll give them the option, like we can either force the projected reassessment now, or if you have the cash, we can just let it happen. But these are the things that are going to be taking place. We had to do down payment assistance. It was one of those situations where we had to move to get into the property. Yeah. So here we are refinancing, and we go from a $2,100 payment back down to a $1,600 payment.
That's huge.
Because,
That's amazing.
and we got rid of the, we paid off the down payment assistance and the things like that. But like you have to call because, that's life-changing money now that I'm saving him. Yeah. And, he's going to be my client for the rest of his life because like you can't touch it. You can't, but you can fix the taxes with the proper refinance with the proper lender. And I want to kind of get back into that when we come back from this break.
Fantastic. All right. Can control what you can control. Definitely the price, the down payment, sellers concessions, a loan strategy. When you're working with the best, it's all about putting that strategy together. And when we come back, we'll talk a lot about that. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 26th year, giving you mortgage and real estate information. Always free to talk with us, 248-539-9797. We don't even take hostage money from you. So if you need a strong approval letter, Becky, it's so important you get these documents over to us. We do an application. We run it through the system. All this could be done within an hour or two. And you could start being a buyer out there with some confidence. I talk to so many buyers out there. I'm like, how are you even in a car driving around? There's no confidence. And I ask them simple questions. And these are things that you can do to feel confident so that when you're in a bidding war, you really know what your next step is.
You have to have the conversation. And if you don't know what your payment is, then you have to not work with the person that you're working with. Because if you're buying a house and you're a buyer, it is so important for you to know how much money you have to bring to the table and what your payment is. Not only just right now, what we were talking about before the break, like what's your payment today, but what's your payment going to projectively be a year from now? Mm-hmm. Are we comfortable with this? Because it is so easy for us to reverse engineer what the payment can be later and make sure you're comfortable with that later payment, because it is a competitive market and the rates are going to be changing up and down. Like, that's irrelevant, but at the same time, it's not irrelevant because you can reduce it. But the taxes are the silent assassin in most situations. And even homeowners insurance right now, like, those are easy ways that we can identify what a pitfall is going to be later on, because it's setting you up not for 5 minutes down the road, but 5 years down the road. Can you afford your lifestyle? And affordability is a huge thing. And just because the payment is $2,000 right now, can you afford it? And are you be comfortable when it's $2,500? And then you have to kind of let go of the ego of, okay, then maybe I don't need to buy the $300,000 house. Maybe I should be looking more for $250,000, $200,000, because I'd rather be married to my spouse than my house in most situations. I'd rather live under my means than even at my means. And that's kind of like the education piece. But we also represent you, and we're going to just give you the information, and it's up to you what you want to decide, right? We're going to be the backseat drivers that talk a lot.
Yeah. We don't make their mortgage payment.
No, I'm not here to spend your money, count your money, but I'm going to just look at it as a neutral party, and this is what I see. And I'm going to be an advocate for you, but ultimately, like, this is your decision, and we're going to make sure that you are educated, you know what you're getting into, and when you're at that closing table, your eyes are open, and we had all the conversations that we needed to have so you feel comfortable with everything and anything that's happening.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had a buyer that insisted on using who they were approved through, and they get to the closing table and they're like, Erica, I have all these other fees on there that I didn't know about, and I didn't, they see everything, and they weren't upfront about it. And then at that time, I feel like they feel the pressure to have to close at that time, even though they don't have to, but they've already invested their money in inspections, appraisals, and their deposit. And if you're not having those upfront conversations, and there's just unfortunately so many places online where I feel like people can be like, this is what I make, this is a couple other questions that I answered, and here's a pre-approval.
Yes.
And I had one last weekend where I needed the pre-approval for another $25,000, and I go to look at the approval, and there's just an email, and it's for some mortgage bank and trust up north. There's no number. There's no contact.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I can't believe it still happens.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
And then I gotta, it's just so hard, because if I have two offers the same and I'm a listing agent and I see something bank and trust that has no phone number to contact.
Handshake mortgage.
Yeah. And then I have Becky Alley who has her, number email, and she's already calling the listing agent. I'm going to feel a lot more
comfortable
working with Becky and bringing my offer to her and advising my clients that we should probably work with someone that's communicating.
Yes. Still a lot of pretenders in the saturated market.
Yeah. So to stay on that just real quick, there is a difference between online lenders and local lenders, because even when, they're going to give you whatever ridiculous rate, and then I'll say, okay, can you send me their estimate? The taxes are whack, right? Because people don't understand how taxes in Michigan. We're also a national lender. I just closed 2 transactions in Tennessee this week, right? So we know what's going on, not just in our backyard, but nationally. You have to know how the taxes change per state, even per county. Whether it's Wayne County, it's in arrears. In Wayne, in most other, it's advanced, right? You have to know what those things are, and people get exposed, but when it's at the closing table, sometimes it is too late, and you can't undo some of those things.
It's a disservice. You always need,
because that's a reflection of you sometimes, even though it's not.
Yeah. But we're not licensed in it, so I'm not going to give advice in anything mortgage. But I'm going to make sure my buyer has talked to their lender, and they're like, okay, I see these 3 houses. If you have different cities, that's great. You have more inventory to choose from. But every different area has different municipalities, different taxes.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what your payment's going to be on, say there's 2 houses we want to already an offer on, and your lender hasn't ran you what your payment would be on that in particular house with the taxes, just with taxes, principal, interest, everything. how can you make a good decision, even offering on it? Because
Yeah.
if it's 300,000 and you're pre-approved for 450, but this taxes is 20 grand, like 20 grand higher for example
the same,
purposes than
yeah.
the other one, your payment's gonna be vastly different than the one that's for 5 grand versus 20 grand.
Yeah.
And unless they've ran those numbers for you, I can't run those numbers for you. I'm not going to tell you, yeah, your payment's going to be 2 grand. I have no idea. I am not ins and outs of the mortgage industry where you guys have that you talk to your clients about. So it's
Yeah.
super important to work with a lender that's going to run numbers and give you a realistic expectation of what you're going to pay at different points of your offer.
Yes, and even like the different kinds of offers. Like, so I've
Yeah.
been fortunate to have like the transaction I've had with both of you. They're both completely different. We had a first time buyer, Victoria, and it was probably one of the best texts we ever got when we were at closing. He's like, I never thought I would ever buy a house.
Yeah, that was
and
wild.
like that was an amazing experience. And then like same with you, Erica, it was a step down buyer, and we looked at all the different situations, and then it ended up being like it made sense for her son to come on the loan because she was in between two places, and I had to look at, okay, what's this rate, what's that rate, what is going to make it easiest for the elderly to step down and not feel stressed out about the situation, right? And but that's where you have to pivot in every situation. You have to curtail each individual different. And someone else is like, but then people want to talk to each other. Well, my aunt got this rate or my cousin got this rate. Well, it's different situations. It's everything has to, you can't compare your mortgage to somebody else's or your buying experience to somebody else's or your selling experience to somebody else's because you're an individual and each situation is the same, but it's different.
I'll just say this: get off those computers and stop
Yes.
clicking buttons. Deal with some
Because they're
local
trying to make you the
lenders.
same and you're not. That's the end of the story right
It's
there.
not. You got to
You're
close with
not.
confidence. Like for me, the whole thing is being in the
There's a
car, or
human
driving
element.
around, looking at these houses with confidence is so different. And we call the buyers up all the time. And I got the call last week. Harvey, so and so's back looking at homes. I call her. We engage.
Yeah.
These are the documents. Let's update your file. I haven't heard from that person in 2 weeks, and she wanted to go look at houses.
Yep.
$350,000, no money. Hey, how much money you got saved up?
Yep.
I don't have anything saved up. And you're calling the agent to do a $350,000 purchase or drive around town. Hey, gas prices are going up. We want those people approved if you're driving them around. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, and you just want to structure yourself to win. So I'm not going to show a client a house that I can't get them. So if we're seeing a house that's $400,000 and your budget is $300,000, I'm not showing you the house. Why am I going to get your hopes excited about a property that's beautiful? $100,000 difference in price point, huge difference in the quality, the condition, the location. So I'm not going to show you something I can't get you.
Yeah.
So knowing where you want to be at in your price point, because I'm not paying your bills, is
Right.
key, and that's where working with a good lender and a good agent.
A lot
So
of people
matter.
give kickback though on getting approved, and a lot of people they refuse to even start the process until they find the right house.
Thank you for bringing
And
that
it's
up.
so hard because most of the time, if it is a nice house, most likely it's what other people are wanting and looking for
You
too.
have to move quick.
And
Yeah.
then to try to call and get a hold of someone, which is doable, and say, "Hey, I need a pre-approval in,
in
an
5
hour."
minutes, but you're
like-
doing a disservice to everybody.
Yeah.
So like what Erica's talking about is you buyers out there that have this like aversion to having your credit looked at, or whatever it is, you are doing yourself a disservice. There's a difference between a mortgage inquiry and you going to Lowe's and Home Depot and getting a 0% credit card that you don't even bat an eyelash to, or your lease is up and you're going to several different dealerships and having them pull your credit. People don't think twice about that, but when it comes to a mortgage, they think like, oh, let me clench my pearls. It's totally different. It affects your credit completely different. And not to mention a soft pull just gives us enough information, and you don't even know, it doesn't even show up as an inquiry, to be honest with you, but it gives us enough information so I can say, yes, Erica, yes, Victoria, this person has supplied me with their documents. I can say that with a straight face and we can make a confident offer, because I call it like hungry eye syndrome. Like you can't, the days of you trying to find a house before your financial profile has been looked at, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing your real estate agent a disservice. You're doing the lender a disservice, because now we have to do what maybe would take an hour. You want us to do it in 10, 15 minutes, which is doable. But do you have your pay stubs ready to go? Do you have your W-2s ready to go? Like, if you're thinking about buying a house in 2026, do yourself a favor, have the phone call, align yourself with the right team, and let's put you in a position of power instead of working backwards.
We definitely have to have those tax returns done.
Yeah.
And so often we'll find out they haven't even gotten those taxes done. Again, we're coming up to that tax season here on April 15th. Do your extension. If not, if you're self-employed, sit down with those professionals. Becky, get us involved in those conversations quickly. Only a minute to talk about, not even less than a minute to talk about. If you are looking to refinance your house, do it for the right reasons. Consolidating higher interest debt, that would be number one. Access cash for renovations and investments. Remove mortgage insurance. A lot of good reasons. But I did step back a little bit on a couple of refis. I had to call some people and say, hey, we were talking about these rates under 6%. Now they've creeped up a little bit. So let's get things done. And let's prepare yourself for success moving forward here. Definitely.
Yes.
All right. Hey, that does it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Victoria
Appreciate
Safran, Remax Eclipse. You guys are awesome. Always great to have you here.
for having
We've
us.
got tons of sports. You got Mike Stone coming up with Kenny Cott. After that, we're going to have Mark Ryan will be in. Then Chapman. We got Tiger Baseball. Dan Dickerson, Bobby Scales later
And
tonight.
happy Easter to everybody because we will not be here next week.
See you next Saturday.